Hello, I hope this finds you well. My name is Kat. If you're new here, if you've been here before, it's lovely to see you. I hope no matter if you've been here before or if you are new here that this finds you very well. It's a gloomy Wednesday morning here and I've just thought, okay. The project that I've been working on long term has been moving very slowly. I'm working with silk and I've also got slightly distracted by other things lately. So that's good, that's fine. So we are into some kind of normal-ish waffly content. I felt like sitting down and doing a spot of knitting. I was going to spin, but as I've tried before, the audio is just really, really bad when I try and spin. So hopefully I'll find a way around that sometime in the future, because it would be really nice to spin and chat. But anyway, I thought this morning I would sit down and do a bit of knitting while I kind of had a little chat about I've been to 2 yarn shows since I've last been here. Alex came with me to the second one, so there should be some nicer footage of that. And just generally thought I'd just, catch up with you, see how you're doing. Shall I mention what I'm wearing? I don't know. So I am wearing a 1x1 rib beanie that I improvise. I knit these quite frequently. I will just put in a link to one of my Ravelry projects that has the counts and how I did it, because I've mentioned it so many times. So it's a black mohair hat. We love them. We get upset when we lose them. We find them again. I'm also wearing this, which is a cardigan that I'm not going to name, purely because I didn't really love the pattern and a few people struggled. I've ended up modifying this quite a bit with both with the sewing machine, the use of elastic, and I've over-dyed it. So this was what I wore for our wedding day when I wanted to stay warm, and I'm finally happy with the colour. It's a little bit patchy on the back, but it's a colour that I know I'm going to wear loads, so that's good. And then finally, this is a super simple tank top, and it is the Totally Tank by Jessie May. I really like this pattern. I'm wearing it with one of her bralettes, but I'm not going to show you that. This is knitted using a yarn that Alex dyed, and I've worn it quite a lot already. I wanted to knit this partly because I wanted him to be able to see his yarn dyed. So it's like a Highland 4-ply, so it's a proper wool, and I think he did good on the colours considering. I also wanted him to be able to see how the style of dyeing he's done knits up and how different lengths of knitting, or widths of knitting, affects how it looks when it's knitted. So you can see on the shorter rows here that it kind of like it stripes, whereas along the front where it's a much longer you kind of don't get that so much, and then on the ribbing it actually pulls almost. So yeah, I quite like it, but I thought this is what I was wearing today, whether I was filming or not, but I'll talk about it. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing. I've also got some hand knit socks, my ones with the little bit of silk in the bottom. I love these. I knitted them up to just below my knee, and I really want to knit a pair of tights or almost really long stockings. That's my kind of, I don't know, thinking for the future long projects that I'd like to do. So that's what I'm wearing. I am knitting on a DK weight sock, and I don't know that I've ever done DK weight socks without mohair. I've done a couple as slipper socks, but never just DK weight socks. And I've got a pair of shoes, or a couple of pairs of shoes that are slightly too big, one being a pair of Chelsea boots that I've had for years now, and I'm impressed with how they've lasted considering that I do wear boot straps on, not for fashion, but to hold them onto my feet, and I feel like having a few pairs of thicker socks will, be a good idea for reducing that need a little bit and keeping the shoes going a little bit longer. So I am using another Highland 4-ply. This is a gorgeous colour dyed by Hannah of the Corner of Craft. She was very kind and dyed up my Exotic Bean Water, I believe it was called, from the Legends and Lattes collection on the Highland 4-ply. And I did intend on using this for a jumper. I've since used quite a lot of it for a weaving project that I really like but definitely went wrong, and we'll do a chat about weaving soon. I think I've done enough now to kind of go, here's what I like, here's a knitter's perspective, here's what I'd like to do in the future, that kind of thing, as well as show the outfit that I made. So we'll do that. But yeah, I had this left and I just kept eyeing up this colour and I really wanted to put it into something, and I felt like, I don't know, I've been enjoying my non-superwash socks a lot. No nylon, non-superwash socks for the last few years. And we're going to talk about that soon too. We're going to do some darning, I think, while we go over what I've noticed and what I'd like from the future. We're doing all the things in the future. But I'm holding it with this, which is Mondim by Retrosaria. I can't remember the colourway name, but it's like a mushroomy colour, and I just felt like Exotic Bean Water and this were kind of a great pairing, and they'll just go with everything, you know, just boot socks. And I have made this up as I went along. I really like a ribbed sock, whether that's broken rib or true rib. I am opting for 3x1 on the top, and then I'll do that all the way around, and I think I'll just do a 1x1 cuff. We have done a simple wedge toe. I use knit front back increases. I find that they look nice enough. For me, I like the way they look. You get the little, Alex calls it a burger on the front. Yeah, the purl stitches look like burgers, and that's kind of quite accurate, especially in this colour. And then I increased up from, I think, 24 to 48. I have fairly wide feet, I think. Like, not really, but considering how narrow my ankles get, you know. So what I've done is I've increased to 48 stitches, and then when I get to after the heel, I'm going to decrease down to about 44 stitches. And hopefully that will work out lovely. I'm going to do a short row heel because that's my preferred method. I haven't had issues with the fit of a short row heel, and I do enjoy a heel flap and gusset and a fleagle heel, but short row's just easier on my brain, and when I'm doing socks that's what I really want. But since this seems to be going so quickly, I can imagine myself knitting a few more pairs of these and doing cables and things just to make it a bit more interesting, but we'll see. Anyway, that's what I'm knitting on, and I am quite enjoying just sitting here with you on the sofa. I didn't think it would look as nice as having, you know, fairy lights and stuff in the background, but I just wanted to be a bit cozy today. I don't even have my water. I should go and get that. I'll do it if I need some. Yeah, so recently, in fact it feels like a whole lifetime ago, but I went to Unravel and I had a really lovely time. It was the winter Unravel. I've been to Unravel, oh gosh. I have been to Unravel a few times and I've always enjoyed it. This time was different. I did really enjoy it, but it took me a while to recover. I had a lot of fun and I'm looking forward to going again for sure, but it really emphasised how much of a highly sensitive person I am, is the best way to describe it. I was there the entire weekend and there was still 2 rooms that we didn't go into. There was just so many lovely makers and so many people that were really high energy in a good way and like really positive. So for me, I tried to like match where people are at. So I was kind of on all weekend, which was really, really nice, and it was quite novel to be that high in energy, but it did mean that I've had to have some decompression time and some kind of quiet time. In fact, on the Saturday night, I was meant to go out for a meal, which would have been really lovely, but what ended up happening is I had a quick meal in Farnham Town, and then went back to our Airbnb and had a shower and immediately got into bed with Life on Air by David Attenborough and fell asleep with... I don't even know that I got a full sentence through, to be honest. I was just gone. So, yeah, it was really, really good. I mean, I daren't mention everyone now because it was a while ago. But, you know, so many wonderful makers, so many people that were doing wonderful things. I did end up buying a couple of things. I got a mini skein set from Zakami, which I'm not going to show you just because I'm not using it. But I did also get this, which is yak fluff, is what it's called, I believe. And this is the undyed base. It seemed to have gone. I don't know if Melinda hadn't dyed up very much, but I was tempted to get a colour, but there was only one skein of each colour that remained, but there was a couple of undyed, so I got two. And the reason that I got this, now I'm just going to talk about the two because I have a finished object, was because I find that Suri Alpaca fluff isn't very hardy with me personally. Like, this has been accidentally through the wash at 40 degrees. I don't normally wash at 40 degrees, but this was because I was dyeing a batch of Alex's clothes, and I threw in a couple of my own items, not realising this had gone in with it. So this has been washed at 40 degrees, and it's still, you'd never know. I love mohair for that. But just when I'm wearing Suri, it changes shape, and I often am able to felt it, and it looks quite old quite quickly. So this one has a bit of yak in it, and what I'm hoping is that it will just help it last a bit longer. We will see, but that was my theory, and I wanted to test it myself rather than asking people, because I know I'm a good subject for this kind of experiment. So I did buy that, and I also bought some of this silk boucle by Creative Anarchy in the colour Gold of the Forest, and that's the two different skeins. I really like the colour, and again, this I purchased because I wanted to know how it felt to knit. I've got a real love of silk. I'm getting more and more into it, and I can't tell you how excited I am to get spinning some more silk. But I digress. Yeah, I was interested to see how this knit, and then I gave Hannah a hug, and I was like, wow, and realised she was wearing the silk boucle, and it just felt really right. So I ended up knitting this, and it is a very modified version of, I think it's called White Sheep Sweater. I can't remember the designer name, but I bought the pattern because there was like 30 projects, and I was thought, oh, it must be a small designer, because I don't know people, I don't know everything. Like, I learn, I try and absorb, but you don't know everything. Not a small designer, big designer, but there you go. So I'll put this on after I've sat and chatted with you and show you it on my body, probably now. I've done a folded collar. I did twisted ribbing throughout rather than, like, I think it's fisherman's or half fisherman's that's recommended, just because when I swatched I much preferred the way this looked. It looked nicer. This fabric has no structure at all. It is just the drapiest thing. I really love it. I love the colour. However, I, from my swatch, couldn't tell just how drapey it was going to be. And I'm torn because I really like the way this fits. It looks quite nice with, you know, my high-waisted skirts and trousers and things I wear all the time. But I can't help but think this fabric should be in a bigger, oversized jumper. And since I do have quite a bit of yarn left, I might unpick almost all of it and re-knit it. Whether I knit it differently or just rip it back to the underarm and do more increases. I know how I like things to fit, so I've made something that fits nicely, but I do just think, because of this drape, I can't decide. What would you do? Like, I mean, yeah, it is really lovely. But I do just think maybe a bigger, oversized jumper. But then this I can put underneath stuff and kind of layer it more, which is something that I really like doing. If I did a bigger size, I'm not going to be able to layer it, and I don't know whether such a light colour will be something I want. I don't know, I'm really torn. So that was my Unravel purchase and make. I don't really like to do purchasing things. It's more like, hey, I've used this yarn, this is what it is. So hopefully that's okay. What about Unravel? So it was just really nice. I can't believe the amount of people that I met. There was quite a few people that came and said hi, and it was quite funny the amount of people that would be like, oh, I've been to see Marina, or oh, I'm going to see Marina, and I'm like, yeah, festival wife. So it was really nice. It was really nice. I think it's a shame that there isn't, I mean, better food, but there isn't more seating and a place to just relax and kind of recoup. As someone that really likes to match energy and be like, you know, I'm not an extrovert and I am more of an introvert, but like I can meet people at a level. It would have been nice to have somewhere to just sit for 5 minutes and knit that wasn't the cafe where there was constantly a queue and hard to navigate. There was a lot of shuffling round, and I do hope that that's something that they improve on, which kind of leads me to East Anglia Yarn Festival, which I went to this weekend just gone with Alex. And again, it was so nice to see friends there. But what I would say is, if you are looking for a festival that is kind of more suited to those with calmer requirements, more accessibility space, a quiet chill out area, like more demonstrations, like, and more room to actually maneuver in a stall, I would really recommend it. there was so much parking, it was so easy to get in and out. They had so much more room between stalls and wider stalls, which made it easier to see things. Really, really good. It was all in one big room too, pretty much, so that also made it quite nice. And it didn't feel loud. Normally in those places it feels quite overwhelming if everyone's in one place, but something about the layout and things just felt quite nice. Got a bit of that yak fluff on my eye. Such is life. Yeah, it was good. I think there's so much I could talk about these festivals, but really the takeaway is Unravel, so many wonderful makers, like so much choice, from, you know, superwash yarns through to knot, through to trinkets and bags, and but a lot more intense. Whereas East Anglia is a bit smaller in terms of amount of makers, but a lot of them were more local to the area. It was a real treat to meet some people that I'd never met before that are makers. Alex bought this, and again, I don't normally show, but I just thought this was really cute. So he bought a single skein of black alpaca, and it is Suffolk grown alpaca by Free Range Fibre, shorn in April 2022, and it has on the front Soft Black by Hennessy, Antonio and Apollo, and they gave us a picture of Apollo which I just really appreciate, and then a little info card on the back with information on Apollo. Apollo is a prize-winning boy with a lovely fine black fibre, and he knows how beautiful he is and can be a diva. I just thought that was a really nice little touch. I appreciate that in a company where if you can say provenance, that's amazing, but to be able to say like which sheep or alpaca your fibres come from is really quite cool. Yeah. I think if you've got any questions about the festivals, like, do feel free to ask. I don't know, my brain's just gone a bit like, what? Weird.
All that stuff, but they said this is a fair trade business. I pay them for the baskets, but then I pay a premium to the village. And they wanted,
Yeah, it's really
they
lovely.
wanted a big shelter to work under when it rains, because otherwise they'd be working in their huts on their own. And so that's what the men are building. I'm paying for this stuff, and the men are building it. And it's massive. I did say.
Have you been up? I've done a lot of dad camming with this.
You gravitate to what you wear. Yeah, and I think I'm quite grateful that, you know, the difference between going to the festival the first time, only going with Alex and only knowing Alex, versus now and going and knowing friends, like proper real life friends, and being able to see that many of my friends in one place is quite special. I didn't anticipate that happening as kind of a side effect of doing these little videos and sharing, but to me that's powerful, because I think more and more I'm realising how much in real life interactions, you know, good, it's nourishing. I'm finding it harder and harder to spend time at a screen talking to people, but I want to more and more because so many of my friends live far away, or, you know, you want to get to know other knitters and makers. So I've been in a real, like, kind of a thinking phase and a kind of cultivating and trying to figure out what new habits in the future looks like. Because I want to host more knit nights, and I said that I would, and I think the plan is, or was, to do a knit night on a Wednesday or on one day in the week where a video doesn't go up, and I think that should happen, but after Unravel I really have needed, you know, I've spent a couple hours a day at least in just silence, no music on, no podcasts, just pure silence, and I think I truly needed it way more than I kind of expected, So I think I've now like come back, I'm balanced again. It's just kind of thinking when that starts. I think soon, maybe in the next couple of weeks. But I've also, because I think, you know how lots of people apologise? Like, oh, sorry I didn't get back to you. Like after a day or two. You're like, I'm more and more coming to terms with like, no, let's not apologise. If you've had things to do and people to talk to in real life, they kind of take priority. And that's because when I was at Unravel, I had quite a few phone calls and things going on, which I couldn't mitigate really. I needed to be there for. But I like to be present. I find it quite difficult to be divided between, you know, things in that regard. Like if I'm with someone at a pub, I want to be with you at the pub talking to you. I don't really want to be responding to people online. You know, does that make sense? Like I don't want people to apologise or feel like they have to apologise because they didn't respond for a few days or a week or a month because, you know, they were cultivating friendships locally. I don't know. I've just been doing a lot of thinking, I guess. And I also read the book Digital Minimalism on the train up to see my family this weekend. And that's made me do a few different things on my phone, which has been quite good, and more things that I want to implement, which so far hasn't seemed to affect things in too much of a dramatic way other than just making me feel a bit better. I've turned off all notifications on my home screen. Who'd have thought that would make a difference? So I can't see anything unless I physically open my phone, which is making me open my phone less, which is making the content that I'm sharing to me feel a bit more like present, I guess. It's less like I'm not clicking like as much, if at all. If I really like something, I'm trying to tell someone that I like them or I like what they've done and appreciate them. Like things like that. So that's hopefully where my brain's going, and if things seem like they're a bit slower, hopefully they seem a bit slower but a bit more intentional. Do you know what I mean? I know this is a bit of a waffle, but there's lots of thoughts like this rattling around my brain at the moment that I feel like when I've spoken to people about it out loud, they've kind of had more to add and more to give and more to share and absorbed too, so it thought it was nice. Maybe, well, it feels quite nice to be talking to you about it. So if you've got anything to add, please do. Please do share. Like I've always done things like made sure my phone, if it has the capacity to automatically turn off at a set time, mine doesn't anymore, which is annoying. But it goes into bedtime mode and do not disturb and all those things. But I think not having, you know, notifications all the time really makes a difference, because it's that whole not having your thought affected by an external source for a bit. That's the thing for my personal brain that I need just time to think and process and let my thoughts run its path. And I didn't realise that how much of a difference that would make to me and how I feel, and even my yoga practice. And I don't talk about that much anymore, but that it's already made my focus head up a little notch, which is just good. It just feels good. I feel a bit more smiley again for it. Yeah. I don't know. I've come on here with lots of things to say and not really said a lot of it. But hopefully there's a takeaway here. Hopefully you know to make sure you take water to festivals. I didn't say that, but definitely take water. refillable bottle with you to festivals, because gonna need hydration. You're probably gonna want to take a bit of snacks with you no matter what. It's nice to support the traders there, because East Anglia did have traders, but I was very disappointed with the coffee. I didn't drink it or buy one, but I queued for half an hour for a coffee for a friend, and even though it was a professional company, that business is purely a coffee-based business, the shots ran for 2 seconds, the steam wasn't cleaned. It was just quite sad to be charging people for, yeah. But yes, I definitely need to make sure I remember to take snacks. I did to East Anglia, but you can't run on such high energy without fuel. Because I did actually remember to take both my AeroPress with me to Unravel and baked goods. I took cheese twists that I made from the same dough. I made some rolls and some cinnamon buns, so that I could just have a plethora of little snacks as and when I wanted them. And I made enough to share with everyone, and then proceeded to not get them, to not share them around very much, which was rubbish. And Leanne, who is one of my lovely Fibre friends, who I met last Unravel, was kind enough to bring a box of Hobbit cookies, which did go down very well. I managed to save one for Alex for when I got home, but Leanne, I will bring you your Tupperware next time I see you, unless we're walking around somewhere and you don't have anywhere to put it. But yes, I still have your Tupperware. Yeah. It's been a good time for reflection, this whole, a little bit more quiet and a little less screen time. I think that I'm coming back all over the shop, but one of the things I found quite interesting was asking the question, does this align with my values, and can I do it another way? And I like that a lot, actually factoring in time to sit at my laptop instead of using my phone, making my phone my sociable device again, not a work connections device, has made me think about things a bit. And I think it's you don't know to question things until someone or something gives you that prompt, and that might, that goes from, I always talk about pepper, but the pepper you have on the table in a grinder, through to what shoes you wear, through to what yarn, what food you eat, and you don't know to question things really until something sparks that. And I'm quite glad that short, I think it's 70-page book sparked those little questions, because that simple, does this align with your values? What are your values? I'd quite like to spend some time thinking about what my values really are. And obviously I think this should change over time, and it will. The more I like to consider myself open-minded, but the more open-minded you are to new things, the more you will evolve, and thus those values will change over time, So asking that question from time to time seems like a really good idea and a good way of constantly, bit by bit, nibbling into things so that you can get deeper and more yourself, I guess. I don't know, I'm on one, aren't I? With the waffles. Because I actually had that little, I think it was at Unravel, I had a kind of light bulb moment where I realised I often say what I don't like, or no, I would not like to do that, rather than this is what I want to do. And I kind of was for years I'm thinking, oh, I'm a negative person because I'm I don't like that, or I don't want to do that. But I can't always say, oh, I want to do that. And I think that's purely from being open-minded and being well, I don't mind everything, which can be a problem, and it's a bit of a pain when You live a life with other people that are like that, and you're like, let's make a plan to do something. What do you want to do? Everything? Everything, but just not these things. So I kind of learnt to see that as a good thing, which is a nice little light bulb moment that's been had. Do you do that? Are you a person that's like, I want to do this? This is what I like. Or are you someone that's like, I'm open to everything, but this is what I don't like? I don't know. I just thought it was like, there's a slight difference and neither's right or wrong. But like, they're both good, is what I'm saying. Like, it's really cool to know what you like. But I think it should be equally acceptable to go, these are my boundaries, these are what I don't like. But I'm quite open. Anyway, I'm really enjoying knitting on this sock, and I could sit here and waffle with you for hours, but I won't do that because your time is precious. I hope that you enjoyed this, no matter if it was it feels a bit weird already reflecting, but anyway, hopefully you got something from this, and if you do have anything to add, like, or any questions about the yarn shows, obviously, like, please let me know. What do you do to like mitigate screen time burnout and being able to communicate with people thousands of miles away, like in an instant? And how do you turn those into, which I feel like I'm grateful I've done, like real friendships and real communications? Because I think I need more face-to-face time. I get much more value out of a conversation where I can read body language, like I'm a energy person, if you will. But what do you do? Like, how do you manage it? How does that work for you? Do you want to be part of knit nights? I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start setting them up. I'm going to start setting them up shortly. We've got to do it. We've got to hang out. We've got to make together because it's cool. Anyway, I love you. I hope you're doing good. And don't forget to love each other.